We got Bitcoin dropping, markets chopping, shaking people out. We're about to dive into some charts. I hope I can make you bullish because I got a date in mind that I think that these bulls are going to start breaking out of their pens and starting to run. It's just a speculation here, but I think it's been playing out rather accurately in the near term. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're not worried by this drop. If you are marked safe from this drop, from being scared, throw a 1 in chat. If you're ready to get this stream going, throw a 2 in chat right now. We're about to get on it. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream. Bitcoin absolutely dumping this morning, but when you zoom out of this 15-minute chart and look at this on the weekly, we can see that this, of course, I got to remind you, this has just been in a steady uptrend, and we're getting just a beautiful consolidation right here. And I just want to point something out. If we look at this right here, we need to look at a couple time frames. What was this time frame? This was 91 days sideways. Okay, what was this? This was 56 days sideways before the drop. And then, of course, throughout the drop before it actually started picking up again, about 112 days. We see this one right here as it pushed up and sort of rounded out across that top, 49 days. What do we see right here when it consolidated in this zone? We see that it had about 50 days. Would be one more day there. Actually, that's a week. Hold on. Let me go to the weekly. There we go. So here we go. This would be to the top of where the ETFs were approved, 36 days to all the way to the bottom to when it came back to equilibrium, 65 days. So what are we looking at right now? We've had this marker up for quite some time. So let's go ahead and look at this right here, this time zone. This goes to right there. We're 66 days into what people feel like is the end of the world. If you don't have a strategy, but if you're watching the BitLab Academy stream, you know that we are setting up for probably what I think is probably going to be among the most bullish periods of Bitcoin history. Why is that? I hope you watched yesterday's stream because I talked about a lot about some of the many things, many institutions, many people, even like the Rothschild, which yesterday I said it was about $4-point-something million that the Rothschilds had gotten exposure to the Bitcoin ETFs. But now it turns out it's a little bit more like 20. That's 5 times more than that data that I saw yesterday. So we got to talk about right now why, we're getting this drop, and is this the end of the world, or is this just that chop that's literally here to actively chop people out of this market? Now, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. I did an incredible interview yesterday. It's mostly his voice and charts. So you'll see my face, you'll hear his voice, but we're looking at his charts with Credible Crypto, and that's going to be coming out tomorrow. So I'll be sharing that here on the BitLab stream, and it was really great context for what's going on in the market. Some discussion on TA and strategy, also what's going on with Ethereum and Ethereum Bitcoin, as well as when is the next alt season, and a lot of really great discussion there. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Look down. I'm asking each and every one of you right now, look down below this video. Right below the video, it will say BitLab Academy. And does it say subscribed? If not, hit that subscribe button. And does it say notifications turned on? If not, hit that bell, turn on all notifications because we got content coming out here. And if you don't know who I am, welcome to the show. My name's Kelly Kellum. I think you don't want to hear me talk. You want to see what the hell's going on in these markets, so let's talk about it. I got some things, some context on both sides of the fence here, and I'm going to give you a date that I'm going to have marked out on this chart that we can look to for a potential rebound at minimum, if not a full reversal. So if you want to see that, throw a 1 in chat. Let's get this. Let's see who we got in the house. We got Mr. Crypto Billy in the house. By the way, if you guys aren't following Crypto Billy on Twitter, make sure you follow him. He does great spaces throughout the week, bringing some of the brightest minds, talking about everything from entrepreneurship to self, balance and life, and also crypto and self-custody and security and trading. All of it. They're actually turning those spaces into a book. So go and participate in those. Really great stuff. Shout out to Crypto Billy. And I see we got a lot of other homies in the house. Even my daddy-o's in the house, Mr. B. Kellum there. So let's go ahead and dive into what we want to talk about today. And I just want to reinforce everybody. Markets dropping a couple $100, even 5,000, even 10,000. Look at this chart. This is a Bitcoin adoption compared to internet adoption. Now, why the hell do we care about this when I'm trying to figure out how come every time I buy, the market drops? Or how come every time I sell, the market goes up? Well, that's why you're watching BitLab Academy, so you don't make those silly errors, because that just means you're trading emotionally. When you zoom out and you look at these broader pictures, the macro, and you also look at the underlying data, what does a huge amount of adoption mean? Adoption means more people using. What is more people using? That means demand. What does demand mean to a supply and demand market? That means typically you're going to drive the value of said thing up, in addition to the fact that you have Bitcoin being a finite, I almost said resource, it might as well be a digital resource, a finite asset that also has programmed monetary policy in it that gets audited every 10 minutes, in addition to having the new supply that is mined every day to get up to that fixed supply of 21 million. We just had the halving that's reducing that new supply, cutting that supply, and we're seeing that we're on a path right now to have an explosive exponential gain in adoption over time, if we even, in any semblance of the imagination, keep up with any similar trend like this. So we are looking good. So when we look at this chart and we come down here on the 15-minute candles and we go, oh my God, it's over. No, you're just being myopic and impatient. And I'm not calling you out. I'm calling every one of us out, because even I find myself doing that sometimes. So let's chill out a little bit. Let's also realize that this yellow line, this little magic line that we see right here, I've been talking about this a lot over the last couple months. This is that weekly VWAP. Let's let it load here on the chart here. This yellow line, does the market in general want to play this negative spread, meaning the price is coming back, getting rejected at it? See right here, coming back, getting rejected at it, getting rejected at it, getting rejected at it. No, we want a positive spread. Let's take some people's money because we have formed this downtrend. Well, positive spread, bounce, positive spread, bounce, positive spread, bounce. Now, we took their money. Now we're going to maintain this trend line. Let's play the negative spread, break down. Look at this, come back to this weekly VWAP. We even tricked some people here on this little flush out to the upside, down. And then again, we're just doing it over and over again. And it feels like we're kind of getting tighter wrapped around this weekly VWAP. As this is consolidating, I do believe this consolidation is likely coming to an end at some point very soon. And I'm going to show you that date here in a moment. So let's not worry about all this chop, which we've seen in previous cycles. Let's come back over to this chart right here. We've seen in previous cycles, I'm on the 6-hour chart. We've seen in previous cycles that we have had this consolidation happen in every single one of these previous cycles when we come up to that previous all-time high. This is exactly what we're doing here. Similarly, here's that cycle top zone, and this is exactly where we are consolidating right now. Let's delete some of these because I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm tired of this because I'm always zoomed in showing the tighter time frame stuff on the charts for you guys, but we need to clean this up a little bit. We gotta Marie Kondo my damn charts here so we can see what the hell is going on and realize by looking at this data, this box right here is the previous all-time highs. And yes, we did overshoot a little bit, but all we're doing is consolidating there, just like we did right here. And then when we look at that data right here with the adoption that we are on track to continue going exponential, this only can mean one thing for the Bitcoin price over time. Now, what does that mean in terms of charts? What does that mean in terms of what's going on right now with what's happening in the price action? Well, from Kevin Svensson, and by the way, are any of you guys going to be at Consensus in Austin in late May? I think I will be there. So we can definitely meet up. I'll be meeting up with Kevin Svensson and Matthew Hyland, two of the guys I share charts with on this show all the time. Well, he's going to be there, and so is Matthew Hyland. We're going to probably do some content while we're there. But look at this weekly chart parabola that has started. And look at these bounces, base one. This is a step formation, right? Rise, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation, consolidation, continuation, consolidation, continuation. We're in the stage based on this chart of something like this. Nothing has changed. He has not moved any lines on this. I've been sharing this here over the period of the last couple weeks. And shout out to Mr. Morel Crawford, my boy. Morel, that's my boy. But we can see these base structures forming on this way up. At some point, we will have I do believe we will have a larger pullback. But as it stands right now, we can't really look to that until we've actually broken this structure as it is. Now, we do have the RSI coming down to a testing point as well. And remember, this doesn't mean it has to bounce. This very well could come down here and fall through, and maybe we break this structure in the near future. But as it stands, when we're seeing all of the things that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, for the last year here on the BitLab channel, that we have the adoption growing, that we have BlackRock and Fidelity and Rothschilds, the banking super family that has basically, for the better part, financed the world for the last several hundred years, getting involved with Bitcoin. How can you be bearish right now? The only thing even when I talk about a potential pullback, even to save $53,000, that's not bearish to me. That means I have another opportunity to stop being a baby about price action in the near term when we're looking at the longer term approach and we know what's coming. Now we can also see right here, a massively bullish setup. This is from TechDev. Make sure you give him a follow at TechDev_52. But these are the 2-month chart. So when you zoom it out on a Bitcoin 2-month chart, doesn't even look like there's been any bearishness ever here. It looks like it's just been rise, retrace, continuation, retrace in the middle of starting the continuation. How can we tell? Well, let's look, rather than at the price, let's look at the data. And what do the data's technical signals say on this chart? We had a large expansion here because of all this price action moving up in this zone. But then as price sort of consolidated in a smaller range, these Bollinger Bands constricted down. This means the volatility on a 20-month moving average has gotten much tighter. So this constrict, and then at this max compression point right here, we also see the MACD flips bullish, or flips from this bearish expansion. It starts contracting back towards the zero line, flips bullish. Now, just a little tip and trick for every one of you out there that does use the MACD. Note these two lines. This is what most people pay attention to. You don't even have to look at these. These colors represent the distance between these two lines. So as this is expanding, this is darker red. As these start getting closer and closer and closer and closer together, it flips. When these are contracting closer together, this turns lighter. Now, when it flips, when this cross, you can see this is where the cross is, right when this flips to green. Now, in addition to this, so you can kind of forecast that based on this trajectory of this MACD histogram bars down here. Now, when this is expanding bullishly, you get dark green. As they contract down again, then you get light green. So you can have very quick one look at these histograms on a MACD and understand what's going on here. But the point here is we have max compression. We're testing right around the previous all-time high. The MACD crosses bullish. And we also see this point right here, when this happens, is lined up where this stochastic RSI is. Now let's go ahead and look to today's picture where we're at. We had an expansion, similar because of the previous run that we had. Now, of course, this run was a little smaller, so this doesn't expand as far. But then as this sort of consolidates down into a tighter range without a lot of huge volatility, and isn't it funny when you look at the 2-month chart, you can realize what feels volatile on a 1-hour chart is it doesn't even move any ounce of a metric on a 2-month chart. So you can see all this volatility. This was from 15,000 up to 70,000. This is actually a compression on the 2-month chart. And on this compression, max compression, which is where we're at now, we see the MACD is flipped bullish. It just happened. And we see the stochastics in the same exact point. So from this standpoint with this chart would suggest if we were to mimic anything like we saw in this previous cycle, we are on track for having that continuation to the upside. Now let's go back through it. What's going to make that happen? Well, a hell of a lot of new users, which are on the horizon, especially with all these major banking industries, major banking conglomerates, the biggest financial institutions in the world, launching these ETFs, these spot ETFs in the US, and having those major banking institutions now have a financial product stake in Bitcoin means they also are incentivized and encouraged to drive their product forward, which means they need to advertise and push more information out to and get people some basic understanding, or at minimum, with no understanding, some exposure to this new product they have. So you ask how we're going to have this adoption? Well, on the merits of Bitcoin itself, I think that could stand. But the fact that we have the biggest financial institutions in the history of the world now pushing this product only stands to reason that when we see this chart right here, makes me lean more bullish. When we see this chart right here, the signals suggest that we are setting up for incredible bullishness. And then we see there's not just that, these dominoes keep falling. Remember how small the dominoes were? The small, almost namesakes, not even major institutions even mentioning, or even when a few cycles ago when Bitcoin was even mentioned on The Simpsons, it sent price higher. When SNL was mentioned on Saturday Night Live, it sent price higher. Well, now we have these major institutions and the dominoes keep falling. Now we see Wells Fargo has Bitcoin ETF exposure per SEC filings today. This is going to be the story of the next 3 years. More and more institutions getting involved, which means more and more access points and distribution points to push out information, news, and products around Bitcoin and just general awareness. This is how we continue this trend to the upside. Now, coming back over to where we were, I don't know which chart it was. Now we got to look at this. Okay. Is there really appetite for Bitcoin? Right now, it feels like it's drying up. Well, let's look at this. I just said perspective. I'd say this chart and data show data below scream demand for Bitcoin. And I say you are not bullish enough. And if we look at this, prior to the Bitcoin ETFs, this is before January 10th, the record speed for an ETF to reach $10 billion in assets was held by JetQ, who did this in 647 trading days, nearly 3 years. Understand this. IBIT, which is a BlackRock ETF, just IBIT, not all of the Bitcoin ETFs combined, but IBIT got there in 49 days. FBTC, these are two now, in 77 days. So the question is there really demand coming? Is this a graph going to continue? Is there going to be buying pressure to send us up and away? If we look at it like this on the weekly, are we going to get an opportunity to take a fib from right here and measure this out to the bottom and have a fib extension up into the right here and suggest that, maybe we come up here somewhere between the 2.618 and 4.618, somewhere in this zone, I think is where we're most likely going to land in the bull market top. But when we're looking at the 15-minute chart and we see a little bit of a pullback, we think, how the hell are we going to get there? And these are the two different zones I think those tops could be between, somewhere between the February, March next year, and if we get a very fast cycle. But I think more likely it's going to be somewhere, it could project based on historical trend all the way out to November 2025. But I think it'll likely be somewhere between September and November, somewhere in the zone. But likely somewhere, again, between 150 on the low side and somewhere up here, 256. Dr. Jeff Ross, who we've had on this channel, brilliant mind, has suggested he thinks his target, and he's a smart guy. He's not somebody that goes and does clickbait. He's not somebody that goes and just pushes out stuff for high numbers for engagement. His target's, I think, $475,000. Now, again, how the hell could that be? That seems a little bit too bullish. But then we look back over here. We look at this. I know I'm being repetitive today, but we have to tie these thoughts together. So we stop being so myopically lost in the volatility of a 15-minute or a 1 hour or even a 1 week candle. Adoption is on the rise. There is no reason to sell right now. There's only opportunities presenting to buy. Of course, we have to live our life. We have to obviously use money outside of just crypto. But this is also why they say put money in markets that you can afford to lose. Because what happens when you do that is you don't need to be worried about volatility. Now, of course, all of us, and I guarantee every single one of us is watching, probably has a little bit of what we could call overexposure to the market, meaning we don't need it to go up to pay our bills, but you're like, I believe in this market so much that I am fully exposed. But I also have the wherewithal to mine fiat dollars to pay my living expenses and not need the money that I'm putting in the market. So we're asking ourselves, is there really a crash going on right now? Or is it just setting up for that next leg up? Is there really demand? Well, we just broke, we just broke this record that took 3 years previously For the only other ETF, the fastest ETF to get up to $10 billion, these are traditional assets too. I just want to remind you of that. This isn't another crypto ETF. A regular traditional asset ETF took 647, and it was the fastest. And here we have two separate, not one, two separate Bitcoin spot ETFs got to $10 billion in under, what was it? Yeah, under 49 days. This is, I mean, it's just, it blows me away about what's coming. But then we ask, why is there selling? We got to ask, even though we don't, even though maybe we are long-term focused, all of us get plagued with wanting to know why. Why did we get that drop? Why are we getting this drop? Well, we remember we just got the halving. And so we can see right here, signs that the average Bitcoin miner is under pressure after the halving. Now remember, why the hell would miners be under pressure after the halving? Well, how do miners typically drive their revenue? Their revenue comes from mining, and the mining reward, the thing that pays the miners to do what it is they do, just got cut in half from 6.25 Bitcoin down to 3.125. So we're also about to go into a run. Miners also want to stay competitive with each other so they can keep a foothold in the market. And so when you see stuff like this, this is a miner profit loss sustainability metric right here. Miners extremely underpaid. Do you see this blue metric? Look at this, got quite deep just now, right after this halving. And so this doesn't necessarily translate to an impact where things have to sell, but it does mean if it does show that there's pressure on their revenue model. And typically when that happens in any business, they have to figure out ways to either pull in other capital, or what do? They have a treasury from Bitcoin that they've mined historically that sometimes they'll need to, something comes up, or maybe they need to, maybe it's not even a big thing other than needing to stay competitive, meaning needing to invest in new equipment and that next gen stuff so they don't get essentially phased out by other miners that are better prepared. So there is a little bit of selling pressure right now. And there's also a high probability of emotionality right now, because actually, let me pull this up. I didn't bring it up, but I think it was Checkmatey, or I think it was Checkmatey shared it. Checkmate. Check. You guys want to see the cutest dog in the world? Come here. Come here, Pickles. Come, oh. Damn, he ran away. It's a cute little wiener dog. He's the cutest thing on the planet. Where is the post that he just shared yesterday? Right here. And this is very, very similar to what I shared over the last few days, actually since the halving, which is that tweet that shows post-halving, we get that period of sideways consolidation. I just like, and I think obviously Checkmate like this as well, but I like essentially how he calls this. He calls this chop solidation. So we're in a period where the market chops wood and trades sideways after a powerful bull market advance. Chop solidations tend to last just long enough for people to get bored, walk away, and miss the rest of the uptrend. I don't want any of you to deal with this. You just get fed up, and the day after you leave, the market rips. And you're like, man, what the hell? I just lost out on a great opportunity. So when we look at this, this is where the halving was right here. The halving was just before this, but we're entering this. You know, it could be 1 month, could be 3 months, could be 6 months. But this is, you know, I don't think we're going to get all the way through the summer of chopping. But you have to be prepared for this. So many people in this market look so forward to all these tales of riches, these tales of, it feels like when you're looking at somebody's life, even if it's a friend, it may feel to you like they got rich very quickly. In reality, there's very few people that do that in this market because the majority of the market is either down or sideways. You have a 18-month window post-halving and maybe a little bit of that period of pre-halving. So let's kind of double click here. Let's delete this fib because there's too many damn lines on the screen. But we can see we have this period right here. How long was that? 504 days, okay? Well, then let's see down and sideways. Down, sideways, and chop. Almost 1,000 days. So the majority of this full cycle there was either bear market or the frustrating, how do you identify the bottom? Is it up? It goes back down to chop, 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 chop. Chop suey. And then again, what do we got right here? We have this market right here, from the start, come on, measurement tool, from the start of this zone right here, coming over to the top, that's 553 days. Okay, where are we at right now? We're currently at, this was down through here. That was 385 days down. And then this sidewaysness that came basically back up to about equilibrium was about 700 days. And we've started this beautiful period right here, but everybody wants it just to go straight up. Hey, dog. Like children, these dogs are. So the point being is, this has been going up actually rather aggressively for a bull market, especially pre-halving. And now we're getting a little bit of a pullback that's represented about, I think it's about, at one point it was about 23%. Let's see if I can measure this right here. From the top here, all the way to where we're at now, it's about 18%, but it did get down about, yeah, look at that, about 23% to the downside, which is incredibly limited based on prior cycles that we have seen. So this is, I mean, we're coming into a known zone. We have this sort of falling wedge that we can maybe argue is a falling channel or a falling wedge. Or if we look at this, let's get down to the 2-hour, 4-hour chart. I mean, as it stands to me, it looks more like all it has been doing is breaking out of the zone and retesting regionally in the zone. We're still above this. We're still above the short-term holder cost basis. I'm still not ruling out a move to the downside, but then I come back to knowing we've got adoption coming. We're still in this parabola. We've got, you know, the setup of this macro breakout. But even when a macro breakout is likely in store, that doesn't discredit the fact that we could likely still have, you know, a 30% or more drop, which we have not gotten yet this cycle. Let's see where we're at here. Now, in addition to all this, I want to say right here, this is the function of markets. Money changing hands at price levels for Bitcoin shows how it impacts relative profit and loss at prices visited before. You can see this from TXMC. He says, when Bitcoin first hit $62,000 in Q1, only 1.8% of entities on chain were in loss. So when we hit 62%, the first time in Q1, in this cycle, I should say, only 1.8% of entities were in loss. Now, we just came down to 62. Now 10% of entities are lost at the same price, emphasizing the supply churn at the all-time highs. The last time 10% were in loss was on the way up in early February. Price was minus 24% at 47K. Now, why is this? Because smart people buy down here, patient people, some lucky people. But on the way up, these people that have been holding this, they're like, you know, maybe it's an opportunity to hedge. Maybe they're not trying to exit the market. Maybe they just want to get out a portion. Maybe they had huge gains and they do want to take some money out of the market because they have other investments and not everything in their life is Bitcoin like you and I. Maybe they want to buy a house. Maybe they want to buy their wife a vacation. It doesn't matter what the reason is. Some people take profits when you get to previous known levels. We talked about this before, the previous known levels. Previous known level in this case would be that previous all-time high, because that was the last time we were in this. That was the last time we were in this zone. So price coming up to there, traditional investors and people that have been doing this for a good portion of their life see this and they say, maybe I'll take a little bit off the table. Well, then who buys? Who's buying at a previous all-time high? Usually people that have a little less conviction. There's also going to be a lot of whales, mid-level whales that we saw in those metrics that were stacking into this area as well. But there's a little bit of changing of hands is what that metric was alluding to, is that there's a little bit of changing of hands when you get up into these levels because there's incentive at this level. It's a very, very highly broadcasted and known level in markets when you come to these key zones in price, meaning you're going to see some stuff change hands. So as this changes hands, which is what we're seeing in this chop, the black line is Bitcoin price. This chop, this is the changing of the hands while also testing the strength of the bulls and the bears along the way. Because there also is, even though we see all this other data that we've been outlining, a huge opportunity for upside price action, we also have to be aware that there's going to be a little bit of hesitation here to let as many weak hands as possible get chopped out. And then once that happens and there's not a huge amount of open interest, then the price will then ultimately launch. I do want to say, make sure you follow me here at Kelly Kellam, KELLYKELLAM. Make sure you're following BitLab Academy here at Academy BitLab. Before we go to the next chart, I do want to say, shout out our sponsors of the channel here, getarculus.com. You can use LAB10, LAB10 for 10% off your Arculus here. It's just incredible wallet. A card that you can actually put in your wallet. It's a hardware wallet. One tap, 3-factor authentication. It's the smartest thing you can do to make sure that you don't get into any predicament. If there is some sort of market crash and there is a liquidity squeeze on exchanges, and we do see failures like we have seen in the past, and you end up losing your money, self-custody as much as possible. Head over to getarculus.com and you can use LAB10 for 10% off your Arculus wallet. So now when we're looking at all these things and we see, let's actually come out. I want to, let's go let's stay on the 4 hour. So this is highly speculative, and I do not preach to trade with this metric, but something that has been spot on lately, is those damn moon phases. I don't know what it is lately, but when we're looking at these new moons, meaning there's no moon in the sky and this is a full moon, new moon down, full moon up, new moon down, full moon up, had a little bit of hesitation right into the resistance there, came down. So we got a little bit of a variation there, but then new moon again down. When is that next new moon? These are about 14 days. So what date would that be? If we measure out, let's actually zoom in here a little bit. If we measure out from this date, it would be roughly 14 days, right about May 22nd. So it'd be interesting to see, not on the specific date, but it would be interesting to see if on that date, we started seeing a resolution with some explosive price action to the upside. And this actually separate from this indicator or signal or whatever you want to call it. Again, I take this with a grain of salt, but I can't ignore looking at these full moons up, full moon up, full moon up, full moon up, full moon launch, full moon up. So did this one fail really? I mean, you did see a full moon. It did go up. It just came right into resistance. It got rejected. So I don't trade on this, but it's just giving me some sort of time basis because the market is boring right now. We're trying to figure out any edge we can. If that's something that's been landing, I'm going to pay attention to it. At least be loosely aware of it. Now, I do want to say when we're looking at this on these weekly VWAPs, we haven't gotten any clear, especially on this 4 hour. It's not very clear that since we've broken down here, that we've actually broken above it. Yes, when you get down on the 15-minute chart, it's like, no, Kelly, we did break above it and we were finding support. Look at this, we were finding support on it. But when you're looking at it on a time frame that really matters, like the 4 hour or above, all we did was test into it and had a little bit of an inkling like it was going to break above it. We did have one candle close above it, but then fell right back down. So this is why it's so important on any metric, whether it's these trend lines like these right here, this dotted line, although my mouse is all crooked, or maybe you talk about, let's use this as an example. I cannot draw on this damn table. But as you come up, you don't trade the breakout, you trade the retest and the bounce off of that. And typically, depending on how aggressive you want to be, you can get your entry there, or there. And those entries are representative of aggressive, medium aggressive. And then the confirmation is really when you break past this previous high that you had right here. So on this break, there was no signal in that regard at all, because all it did was break through it as a deviation, much like we had these wicks deviations. If you're just buying those breakouts on a 15-minute candle, you would have been wrecked. So you want to see, one, that you have a little bit of patience. You want to see the breakout. You want to see a test. And you want to see the continuation higher to let you know that they have agreed that, yes, we're pushing it past the VWAP, AKA we're trying to go bullish. Let's test them. Let's see how strong the bulls really are. Come back to that VWAP. Is it defended? Yes. And it comes back up. And that's not only true with the VWAP, that's true with trend lines and everything. But in this case, the VWAP has been an absolute incredible signal for us to identify if we are in that bullish spread or not. Let's see who all's in here. How's everybody doing? How you feeling? We've had like, I don't know if I got shadow banned or some shit this last week, but I was going from having like 3,000 views a stream to yesterday I had like 700, had like 80 people in here live. But all of you that are here right now, you're the most important people because you're here on a daily basis, and I love you all. I do want to also shout out, we do have a member stream this afternoon here in the BitLab Discord. Just come over here, click on the event thing at the top if you're a BitLab member here in the BitLab Academy. Click interested. It's going to be me and John Dalton and Corduroy. We're going to be talking about charts and TA and what we're seeing, a bunch of altcoins, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to reserve most of the altcoin stuff for that later. And if you want to join us, we got the best Discord and signals. I mean, I broke down so much. Look at all this data I broke down the other day, just setting up, I mean, levels. I mean, I'm trying to keep everybody in the know, letting you know exactly every move that I'm making. I actually updated it again this morning, what I was doing with some of my portfolio moves. Head over to lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. Join us in there. You can join for free. If you want to join this member stream, it's 15 days free. And then it's only, I think it's $25 a month after that. Join now, free, then low price for life. And you also get access right after you sign up on this button, boom. There's an upgrade if you want to take that upgrade that also gives you access to the courses and all these indicators that I use on a daily basis, showing you where these bullish and bearish divergences are, showing you where these setups by candle structure and high volume selling, stopping volume, high volume selling, etc., as well as, of course, the BitLab Trend Fuel. We try to make sure we give you as many tools and resources and community as possible. So head over to lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. I'd say the number one way you can help support us. And at minimum, you can also join just being a BitLab member here on the YouTube. And that's such a huge help to the community as well, because we have team members. We got some interns. We have some staff members, graphics. It's not just me standing up in front of the camera. And I want to make sure that we can continue to bring you the goods because I love you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Remember, tomorrow you'll have an incredible interview that I'm doing with Credible Crypto going live. And no, there's nothing wrong with the stream when you watch it. You'll just be able to, it's audio, so it's going to be my face, like when we're on this screen right here. And then we'll have his chart up, and he'll be talking us through a bunch of just incredible stuff there. So that's all I got for today, guys. I have to run to do the member stream here in a few minutes. And then also, then I got another interview I have to do after that with one of our channel partners talking about some awesome Web3 stuff. So shout out to Galactics for that. And again, just a reminder, we have a $100 giveaway going on right now. And only 8 of you guys have retweeted this. All you have to do to enter this giveaway, $100 USDT, is come to this to my Twitter page, and I'm going to put this in there. I'd love it if every one of you in here retweet this, please. And you are entered to win $100 USDT. I'm drawing this this coming week. So, I mean, you got a pretty high probability of winning. So big love to you guys. I appreciate you. If you want to know more about Galactics, there is a link down below my video. If you come in here, live stream right in here, and scroll down in the description section right here, partners. Where's partners at? Right here. Channel partner Galactics. Go ahead and sign up if you want. I always try to make sure that, I'm never limited on anything because I protect my security. I always have a VPN on, and I don't want them to know where I'm at, what I'm doing, so nobody can steal my crypto. That's what VPNs are about. So I use a VPN always out of Lithuania or Brazil. But I love you guys. I appreciate you. I got to run. Adios. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being our friends. Adios, suckers.